d4. He's too well versed in e4. So let's play b4.
That's unusual. Now at this stage I normally play f5. But no, don't go with that. I think we'll go for game checkers. Or Benko, we'll start knight f6.
Still early, yeah. I don't know what he's going to do. We'll just have to see how it goes. Let's play knight 3.
Well, this is getting stodgy. Well, I might as well carry on and gain check on the king's side. Yeah, g6.
Put you on the king's side. You could play d6 and go to perk. Or we could end up playing king's India there. Either way, I'm going to play knight c3 and try and get e4 in before he plays d5.
d3, yeah. He's obviously looking to play e4 as well, not by the centre. We can't have any of that nonsense. Yeah, d5, go to e5.
Yeah, he's thinking of that, so that. But still, it's no problem. If I get bishop g5 in, I may be able to get, I may get time to get queen to d2 in, and then he'd be under pressure should he cast that thing. Okay, bishop g5.
Bishop g5. Can't really see any big issues there. I think we'll be looking there at the standard bishop g7.
Yeah, that was always going to be the move. So, we've got the bishop out. Now we can play e3 and not worry about having the black square bishop trapped.
Yes, well, the e3 supports d pawn, lets the bishop out. Overly bog standard stuff. No, I've got my development. Yeah, I can move the bishop. Yeah. I won't put it on g4 because you can just kick it on these on h3. So I'll play bishop f5. Yeah, bishop f5.
Makes sense to play that. He's keeping pressure on that e4. I'm making sure I'm never going to be able to play it. I've got a challenge to the bishop. I can't leave it unchallenged. Bishop d3.
Bishop d3, yeah, looking to swap off already, straight to a draw. Let's see if we can sharpen it up a bit somehow. Knight e4 works, but yeah, that sharpens it up a bit. And I don't like his black colour bit, so you might let me take it, you never know. Yeah, knight e4.
I can't go knight takes because he just plays pawn takes and falls my bishop and knight. If I go bishop takes, he's got bishop takes or pawn takes. I don't like that. It means I can't move my knight on f3 again. I haven't castled yet. Would it be harmful to let him have the bishop on g5? Maybe not. He's got a poor bishop in the corner. Good defensive piece, but that's all it's ever going to be. Okay, we'll go for castles. Continue my development.
Oh, I'm surprised that he's just castled out the way. Now this leaves me in a quandary as to whether to take the bishop or to just carry on and develop myself. Well, if I can get his black coloured bishop off and leave mine on the board, it might leave me with a good game later on. Maybe try something like c5 to open it up on me. Yeah, I think I'll go for that. Knight takes g5.
Like check, queen takes, and he's got a pawn on him. But now he can play e6 to protect the pawn on f5. Gives him quite a solid centre, really. And he might be a castle queenside later, so no, it's got to be knight takes knight.
Right, knight takes knight. Yes, well, that's fairly straightforward. I can get rid of my bad bishop now just by playing bishop takes bishop. It's got to be the one. Bishop takes bishop.
Yep, nothing to think about here. Queen takes.
Right now, I've got rid of my bad bishop, and he's got a nasty check on there. That could be embarrassing. I think I better get out of the way quicker than the king. Yeah, castles.
Yeah, figures. Not only does he get his king out of the way, stopping me checking him on b5, so but it's safe in the corner there. Well, I've got to stop him being able to get that e5 in at some time. So if I go to knight and if I play f4 now, that'll really lock up the second for a long time. Let's play f4.
Ooh, f4. I'm surprised at that. He's left his king pawn backwards. And well, it does let his rook out, but I can't see any danger in there. Yeah, I don't think there's any. Well, I mean, just looking at what can I do? I think I'll play c6 here. I think because it prevents us coming down for any cheap moves on the queen's side, and it also restricts the movement of his knight. Yeah, c6, defending the queen pawn.
c6. Well, yeah, he's got to protect that pawn if he wants to move the queen away. At the moment, his queen's come into that pawn, but now Paul's defended it. He can play the queen away, maybe to b6 or a5, or even just go queen c7 perhaps. Either way, I've got to do something. So let's have a look. My plan is to go rook f3 and maybe to h6. It's never going to win the game for me, but it does create some pressure. And it does maybe give me a chance to double the rook to play f5 as well. That's quite nasty. It forces him really to play e6. Just play rook.
Well, this is a bit of a blunt weapon. We know what's coming up here. Is there any danger? That's the question. Either a danger or he's wasting his time. The latter, I think. Let's see. Yeah. I think what we should be looking at there is getting the knight out just sit there. I can't see any problems there. Knight d7.
Knight d7. I'm glad he played that. If he'd have played h6, I would have possibly played knight back to h3. And then to be able to do anything, and now I've got to go with it again back to f2 just to be able to develop it. But to say about after moving the queen, I could drop the knight into d3. And then I've got a really good knight, you know, d3. It's something maybe to think about later. But for now, rook h3.
Yeah, there we are. Rook h3 as expected. Going for the cheap shot. I don't think there's really too much to worry about here. I can get rid of his threat on the h7 pawn at the same time and kick his knight out of it. So yeah, h6 looks pretty good. h6.
h6. Okay, so I could still do what I wanted. I go a knight back to f3 into e5 and then drop these three later maybe. As if he doesn't lock the knight up by then. Anyway, I've got to move, so knight back to f3.
Yep, into f3 as expected. Yeah, no. He's still looking to get a kingside attack in there of some sort. I'd like to stop him advancing that pawn as well. It's another threat he's got on the e-pawn. Yeah, I think we'll play f5. That keeps his queen out of the way and locks the position. f5.
Oh, damn. Queen f5. Does he plan on going knight f6 and then being able to bring the knight into e4? I can never take that if he does. Not without moving my knight on f3 first. Well, my plan was to do a knight into e5. I'm going to play knight e5.
Yes, that's a lovely square for his knight. It's jammed right in the middle of my pieces on the board. Classic great piece, except for one thing, I can whip it off with my knight, and that's just what we're going to do. Knight takes knight.
Yeah, that's had to be. Now, I really got to take the D. If I take with the F, then he's got driving force of pawns coming down my king side, and my rook could get caught in that. So I'm going to take with the D pawn. D takes E5.
Yeah. Yes, taking that way is fair enough. He's let himself a nice hole in that d4 square. We'll have to make sure he doesn't get any benefit out of that. But first of all, we'll, before we can advance the pawn, there's knight in there, we'll just secure things a bit better by playing e6, I think. That'll stop any nonsense. And that'll also play bishop or rook out that way if we want to put it. e6.
Yep, figured he'd play that. So, it's getting locked up now. But I've got a nice little square there on d4 to play with. And we would love to get into c5 here, so I better get my queen on there before we get c5 in. But then if he plays b6, he's going to try and get a pawn roller coming, so I have to play b4. What happens then? Oh, did he try and hit that pawn? Oh, it's too far to look ahead at the moment. Let's do queen d4 and then we'll play from there.
Ooh, queen d4. Well, that's it's got no threats in there. I'm going to get my play in the queen side now, so because there's rooks offside and the king side doing nothing. Yeah, I think we can start looking at connecting the rooks together and then moving onwards in the queen side. So queen d7, I think. Yeah, queen d7. Yeah, it's no, I can't. Can I? It would be in the c5 square. Wait a minute. He's got the c. No, I can kick him out and prevent his knight coming in there. Yeah, that's what we've got to do. We've got to play b6. Yes, b6.
Yeah, b6. Remember that? I thought he was going to play queen d7, but he saw that. I'm getting into c5. That would be good for him. So then, he's going to. I can't let him play c5. Obviously, he's just going to probably crush me in the end. I've got to play b4, but I think I'll be okay because I've got a3 to support that. I can drop the knight back, play c3. I should be okay. b4.
Ooh, b4, right? Yeah, well, that's interesting. Yes, we've got to try and sort something out for that. Yes, it's leaving a backward c pawn. That's one possible thing in there. But I'll just carry on with queenside development, I think, and put these roots in the game. If I play queen d7 and back up the kingside if we need it, that'll be enabling the rooks to, yeah, queen d7.
Yep, he's connected his rooks up. No doubt he's going to put them both on the c file and try and force them through the middle. I've got to make sure we can do that. What's my best plan? I've got to do something with that c pawn. I can't leave it backward on c2. I could play a3, but I don't think that's such a good thing. I'm going to play knight e2 and try and maybe even play c4. We won't be able to take because there's queen on the end. Let's play knight e2 first.
Knight e2. Well, it's opened the way up for the c pawn to come forward. There's a cheap one there, but we can ignore that, I think, because it's I don't have to take it. Now let's get these rooks involved in this queenside expansion. Yeah, let's get the rook c8, I think. Yeah, which one then? Yeah, we'll put the a rook in there. That still leaves me the flexibility of using a rook later on. Rook on a to c8.
Yep, it's looking a bit obvious there. It's going to double this roots up as I thought. I've got to push on now on c3, and that way I might be able to play a3 as well, and that kind of stonewall defence. Let's play c3.
c3? Well, I'm surprised at that, really. But that allows me, if I need to, just to advance the pawn anyway, and that keeps his knight out of that lovely d4. Yeah, it's got to be that. c5, just continue the plan. We'll put the A rook in there, that still leaves me the flexibility of using a rook later on. Rook on A to C8.
Yep, it's looking a bit obvious there. He's going to done those roots up as I thought. I'm going to push on now on C3, and that way I might be able to play A3 as well, and put up a kind of stonewall defence. Let's play C3.
C3? Well, I'm surprised at that really. But that allows me, if I need to, just to advance the pawn anyway, and that keeps his knight out of that lovely d4. So yeah, it's got to be that. C5, just continue the plan.
Yeah, well the good thing about this is I play pawn takes, I'm obviously good because the rook takes and then just doubles his rooks up. Whereas if I go back to d3 and he pushes again, it hits me on C4, then I've got a nice big good square on d4 for my knight. Yeah, I like that. There's not that one square of the queen. Queen d3.
Yes, well, there's no threats in there at all. I'll just carry on with the queenside expansion again. I need to get my rook on the F file across, so I'll make room for it by moving the C1 forward. Yeah. Rook C7.
Yeah, I'm in a very fortunate position. Moving that C pawn, either take it on B4 or move it into C4. Gives me a lovely square on D4 for my knight. This is my dream. But to do that, I've got to wait for him. So if I play B5, that's kind of nice because if he plays C4, it's certainly tempted to play C4 because then he would be hitting the pawn on B5. I could go Queen B1, covering it, and then I could get a knight in there. But he's probably not going to do that. He's sure to see it. But I don't see anything wrong with B5 anyway. It stops him from opening that pawn. C takes B, and then he'll have the two rooks on C pawn. So it's got to be B5.
Surprising. Now, what we've got here. Well, I can't play C4 because that'll leave him that D square. Hang on a minute, though. That pawn's hanging, isn't it? If I move C4, don't I just pick the pawn up? Yeah, we'll go for that. Yeah, I think I'm picking the pawn up there. C4.
What? Can't believe it, he's done it. He's played C4. He must have missed Queen B1. Now I can get knight in D4 and I've got a great game. Yeah, Queen B1.
Oh, what a cheese. I thought I was just picking the pawn up there. Oh dear. Playing too quick. I'll probably get stymied or bags of time left in the end game and I won't have enough material to win. Oh well, never mind. No, what we're doing. I can't double up the pawn, I've achieved nothing, so my bishop's hanging about doing nothing. So that lovely square on D4 for his knight. The only thing I can take it with me, the bishop, so I've got to try and move my bits about now to try and win the bishop. Right, so let's move the rook out of the way then. It doesn't matter where really. Put it on c8, the rook c8.
Yeah, he's put the two on that far, but all too late now. Now he can't open it up. I'm quite happy with him doing that. No guesses for where I'll go with my knight. D4.
Yeah, knight d4, lovely square in the centre board, a huge hole, and I've gave him it. Dearie me, he must have thought it was Christmas. Right, now, as my plans go on, after trying to get back after that big mistake, I have to take my bishop onto his knight to take it off, because I can't leave it there. Bishop f8. Yeah, bishop f8.
Yeah, he's going to try and get that knight off. I'm probably going to have to let him up, because even if I move the knight away to stop him taking it, this bishop's going to just be a wonderful square on c5. So, but he can't do that bishop until he defends that h-pawn. So that gives me a move that's to play with. He's hit my b-pawn. After bishop takes like that b-pawn will be hanging. So before I can even think about going and attacking his king side, I've got to cut that pawn with a4. So a4 is my move.
Yes, well, that's not unexpected. Yeah, I can't move my bishop over till I protect my pawn, so I'll keep that. King h7.
Yeah, he's preparing the way for bishop c5. He's coming toward now with his king, so let's get over there after. I don't think I can do much, but you never know. If I can get the queens off, got a good chance for drawing. Queen e1.
Queen e1, yeah, well, he's obviously going into h4, and then we're going to have another one to attack down the king side. Can I do anything about it? That's the thing. No, I can't. This is a problem you see having a knight in a place like that. It's holding the queen in position, so I can't move my queen. But I think we can still attack. We've still got to go for the knight anyway. I can defend over at that side. So yeah, bishop f5, bishop c5.
Yeah, bishop c5, as expected. Okay, so if he takes, I can take the pawn. All my pawns are naturally placed. No weaknesses there. I should be okay. I think I can go out to the wing with my queen there, hit him on h4, hit him on h6. He can, if he wants to, he can come across with the queen. Oh no, he can't go queen g7 because the knight takes on d6. Hit the queen f1 and the rook, so what would he do? He can play h5. My only hope now really is to go on queen f6. Let's try it. Queen to h4.
Yes, that was the move we were waiting on. And there's only one move I've got there that's of any use at all, which is obviously h5. h5.
Yeah, h5, as expected. So, let's carry on with what I've said. Queen going into f6. You probably whip my knight off first, because it's the danger of the two, the knight and the queen hitting on e6. So let's go in there, and then after bishop takes, knight pawn takes, see what he does.
Well, he must be after a draw, because it pulls the queens off as well after the knight, so, oh well. I can't let his knight sit there anyway. This is a time to get shot at that, so no press, so bishop takes knight.
Yeah, he takes.
Yep, he's taken with the pawn, as expected, the king pawn. Nice little pawn formation there. He's got an aggressive piece in his queen, right up in my heart, so it's coming off. I can force it off. Queen e7.
Well, if I don't take, I'm going to get for this. If I go back to h4, he can just take. So I may as well take him, and then that gives me the next unit to play. Queen takes queen.
Well, rook takes queen.
Yeah. Now we can bring my rook back into the central part of the game. And I'm ready for anything that goes on. I certainly think it's draw now. I think I'll offer him a draw at this stage.
Well, he's offered me a draw. I suppose with best play in both parts it should be a draw, but I do have 5 minutes more than he has, so I'm not surprised he's offered me a draw. And if there's anybody going to win it, it's going to be me and the Queen's side, so I think we'll crack on and use my rooks here. Rook b7.
Turn the draw down. Queen doesn't try and win it on the Queen's side. Can he? I don't know. Possibly. We both have to bring our kings across. I better prepare for that. Yeah, I'm going to have to play a4 first. Lock up that king side. And then I can move my rook back. Yeah, h4.
Yeah, well, that's dodged it right up on this side. He's stopping me getting in, but at the same time he can't break through himself, so I can quite safely now move my king over to help out with this initiative on the queen side. So yeah. But should we do that first or play the rooks? Well, I've got plenty of time for that of mine, so let's work in with the rook then. Rook at a8.
Yeah, he's got some plans worked out here. If he plays a6, I take, and he doubles, it doubles his rooks in it by a4. I have to be careful. I think I better bring my rook back before I even think about playing g3. Rook back to f2.
Yeah, well, he's finally got his rook to where it should be, taking it over the other side. Yeah, I think well, there's a cheap one here. If I play a6 and he doesn't register, I'll be able to play pawn takes pawn. He can't regain because he'll leave his rook home free. Yeah, let's shove that up there.
Do you really think I'm going to let him play pawn takes pawn, picking up my rook on a1? No, I don't think so. We've got to play rook b2, then we can retake with the rook. Rook b2.
Yeah, that holds together, but I have got the sabre hand, so I think now's probably the time to bring the king over. Yeah, let's try that. That's king g7.
Yeah, I've got to go with the king walking across as well. It's the follow across.
Yeah, crack on with the king.
Yeah, getting closer, but I've got to get over there. So, king e2.
Yeah, on we go. King e7.
Okay, he's moved his king across d7. I think I better get pawn takes pawn there, because otherwise once he's protected that pawn on b6 with his king, he can go rook a7, double his rooks up, and then he's really put pressure on my a pawn. Okay, pawn takes pawn. I think it might have liked the same thing, but pawn takes pawn.
Well, this is a no-brainer. It's obviously rook takes pawn straight back.
Yeah. Now, his king's going to be near that pawn. I can see me dropping a pawn here soon. I've just got over that control here. Rook b4.
Now, I've got two moves with the king there. I can either move it to c6 or c7. If I move it to c6, no, I don't like that so much. I'll move it to c7. King c7.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious what he's doing. He's letting me know for sure. He's going to double those rooks any minute. I'm not happy about this. I need to get my king a bit closer. King c2.
Yeah, well, because of my pawn on c4, it's going to keep his king out of the game, so we're looking quite tasty now. Oh, and I can actually play b5, if I'm not sadly mistaken, because he can't. That's right, yeah, he can't take the pawn with either the pawn or the rook because he'll wind up losing a piece. Yeah, let's try b5.
b5? Oh, can I just go? Oh no. I go rook takes, he plays rook takes, pawn takes, he picks up my rook on a1. I go pawn takes, he still picks up my rook on a1, so there's no chance of picking it up. What am I going to do? I could just move the king across to b2, but I'll push the pawn over, and if I drop it later, I drop it, but I still think I can draw. Hey, pawn to a6. Fine.
I think I might be able to win this now. Well, no, there's no danger of his rook coming down over there. Onto b5, I'll be able to stick my king up. King c6.
Yeah, that will enable him to be able to play the other rook onto the a file and pawn drops. So, I've got to go rook a2.
Rook a2. Well, I think that's not the best. It's just going to allow me to pick up the pawn now. Yeah, let's double up the rooks. Rook a7.
Yeah. Rook on a2.
Well, it's just given me the pawn. Lovely jubbly. We're in with a sheriff now. We might even get a win. You never know. a6 takes a5.
Yeah, we're still on in time pressure. I've got to really move a bit quick now. I still think this is drawn, but I'm going to have to be careful. Let's play king d2, then I can come back if he brings his rook down. I should be able to block him and keep him out. King d2.
King d2. Now he's obviously just going to try and whistle Dixie and make me prove that I can win. Yes. I can't move that rook up yet because he'll just take a pawn. So we've got to protect the pawn again. Yep, so we'll move the rook to protect the pawn. Rook b7.
Yeah, that's right. Now you've got the one rook to claim in on the upper file. So I can come back. d2.
Yeah, just whistling away there. Let's see what you've got if you've got a win, George. Right then. Is there any way of breaking through here? Well, there's an open file on a1. I've got to go for that. Rook a1.
Yeah, he's playing on my time pressure here. He knows that I've got to keep trying to counter everything he does. So rook a1. Rook e1.
Rook e1. Well, we can whip it off. It'll be easier to win then if there's any chance of winning with only one rook in the board. Yeah, let's take it. Rook takes rook.
Takes rook. Wow. Which do I take then? The rook or the pawn? I don't know. I don't want to go rook takes. If rook takes, you may be able to get a pawn on. And, you know, like I take the. Yeah, I'm going to go king takes. King takes d1. We're about to go.
Yeah, it's getting shorter time now. This is looking better and better. Now, well, I've obviously got to try and not the open file, so rook a7.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Oh well, king b2.
Now, is there any way of getting through here? Let's see now. Well, I can give myself a passed pawn by playing rook a4, and he's only got 2 minutes left, so it's got to be worth doing. That'll give us something to think about. Yeah, rook a4.
Well, I'm certainly not going to let him do rook takes a block. Though if I did, I've got a pawn on b4, you can't get through. But I don't think it matters really. I still think it's strong. Rook takes a4.
Yeah, well, we've got a passed pawn now. Just going through with it.
Yeah, so that's the rook sold out. So, to c2, the reason being is because I can come back. If I can tempt him to move the pawn up, I can come back and then he won't be able to defend the pawn. I'll show you why if I get the chance. King c2.
Yeah, this is looking like a draw now. I can only that he makes a mistake. Can't see any way getting in it. Oh, well, just play something. He's only got 40 seconds left or something anyway, so just move on again. a3.
Gotta move. Gotta be accurate. King b1.
Yeah. He's got the opposition and he's got the spare move because of the g pawn. So this is a dead draw. King b5.
It's turned out by second. Oh, does he still think of win this? Surely not. King a2.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid the pawn's dropping, so that's the end of that. Any other chances? Well, I could win on time possibly. You'd have to blunder for that. Well, we've got to give him the opportunity to blunder, haven't we? Yeah, king h4, a4.
Ah, now I've got no draw. I said to play g3, he's got to move the king away and pick up the pawn.
Yes, that's where that extra move you had on the G pawn came in very handy. If that had already moved forward, I would have won it. Still, it wasn't to be. So it's just a dead draw now. Expect it will from me one again. He's running at the time, so I've got 30 seconds left. Yes, that'll be King H5. King B5. So.
Yeah, I'll just whip up the pawn and it's totally drawn.
Yep, it's taken pawn as expected. Now there's nothing I can do. I can move my king into A5. That makes him move backwards, but after that it should be a draw. He's only got about 20 seconds left, so he's going to start jumping up and down any minute now. Looking for a draw. Okay then. A5.
Well, this man doesn't like even draws, does he? I've offered him twice, this is my third time, and it's totally drawn. If he doesn't accept this time, I can't see what he could do anyway. It would just repeat moves, so I've had to demonstrate it at the end. It's made me demonstrate the draw, so here we go. I've offered him a draw again there for the third and last time.
Yeah, well, he doesn't offer any more this drop. It's a drop, dead draw, opposition, same position 3 times, whatever you want. Even though he's nearly lost in time, he's got away with it. Okay, yeah, thanks Bob.
I thought it was interesting. I thought White had quite a good opening. Seemed to have quite a comfortable game. Probably let Black into it a little bit. I thought move 17, B4 was not the right move. And I thought Black could have broken through with C5 and probably got a winning position with a pawn tap.
In the end, it fizzled out, but there was a possibility for dynamic play.
Yeah, I think White could have held on to his pawn in the last few positions, but he gave up the pawn and there was still no way through for the Black King, even with the rooks, because there wasn't enough space to get across. There was only the 2 ranks, and the King covered it quite adequately with the rook. So there's just no way through. It's a stone cold draw, and obviously the pawn on G2 to G3 was the tempo move that he needed to gain that draw.
Yeah, I agree.
Good.